If you drive outside of Cleveland for a while, you'll run into Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, home to Walsh Jesuit High School and home to a regular wrestling dynasty in the making. As one Warrior coach put it to us, it's not a matter of whether you'll win a state championship here, but rather how many. The success story of wrestling at Walsh Jesuit is about stories, many different stories. One is inspirational and touching. One's a tribute to dedication and hard work, about not giving up. One's about a tradition that begins long before the young men even step onto the mat to become warriors. Another is about making dreams come true. And one is just plain funny. But one thing all these stories have in common is Walsh Jesuit wrestling and taking on all comers to remain the #1 team in the nation. Brent Thompson is a sophomore and wrestles at 103 pounds. Some of his teammates call him grumpy, but Brent is a young man dealing with a lot of different things, particularly his mother's illness.
Yeah, she's struggling with cancer right now, but she still always makes it to all my matches. And before every match, I look up and see her. It's hard, but there's just times when you have to focus on what you're doing, and when you're at home, focus on my mom. But when you're away from home, I try not to think about it so much. I mean, I carry it with me, but I don't let it get to me.
Is wrestling a release then, in a way?
I think in a way it is. It helps me get my mind off it.
And when you see her up in the stands before your match, do you ever consider, gee, how long is the possibility that my mom might be up there before my matches?
All the time.
It's the most true statement. That's what happened for me my freshman year. I worked hard, and nobody thought, you know, I could ever win a state championship my freshman year, but I worked as hard as I could every day, day in and day out, and, you know, a dream came true.
And that dream came true his sophomore year as well. Clint Musser repeated as state champ at 145 pounds, and he was runner-up last year. The only other senior on the team, 140-pounder Jim Johnson, has seen his dreams come true also. He can remember when he was a kid and watched Walsh Jesuit legends of the past. He dreamed of the day he would be part of the future, part of the tradition.
When I was a freshman, I watched Danny Lee Master and Marcus Mock and them guys. I watched them in the finals and out there in the big matches win by techs and pins. So, I mean, ever since I've seen them do it, I want to do it myself.
That's Scott Overholt. He weighs about 160 pounds, wins a lot of matches for the Warriors, and he says he can't see without his glasses. And sometimes it gets downright ridiculous.
I do have trouble seeing the score and how much time's left in the match.
You're kidding.
Now, there's been, for example, a match last year against a Michigan opponent where I thought I lost a match, and in actuality, when I shook hands with them, they raised my hand.
Because you couldn't see the score.
Yeah, I couldn't see the score.
Just took third place in the districts and qualified for the state tournament. And that was on a Saturday. The next morning at school, I was declared ineligible. I don't know, it's probably the biggest, letdown of my life. I mean, it was just amazing. Not many people go to state their freshman year, and I just qualified for it. And then I really didn't get to prove myself last year because of that. It was shocking. I mean, I don't know, it's just something I've really never experienced before.
And something Frank Favaro says he never wants to experience again. But he went back to Walsh Jesuit, got his grades together, and now he says he's on the road back to the States.
He could have went to another school. I mean, we have requirements at Walsh that are above public schools. He could have walked to a public school and maybe been a state champ, you know, but he wants the whole thing, you know.
And that's Walsh.
That's Walsh.
That's being a Warrior.
Being a Walsh Warrior.
So this is it, huh, Coach?
This is the house.
This is the House of Wrestling. This is where You have established the North Akron Wrestling Club.
Right, me and a lot of other people. But this is the hill, we call it.
And if this is the hill, this must be the hall.
This is the hall. This is where we do it at. Come in here at 5:45, and it'll look like this, and by 6 o'clock, all the mats are out and everything, and there'll be 60 to 70 kids on the mats.
Are these some of your future wrestlers to be, possibly?
You never know. If they live in the community, they're certainly welcome to come out for the team, you know.
Bill Barger receives much of the credit for the success of the Walsh wrestling program, and his North Akron Wrestling Club is the feeder system for the Warriors. He gets them young and molds them.
North Akron Wrestling Program, we'd go to tournaments every weekend. I mean, wouldn't be like some people wrestle and they have maybe like 10 matches a year when they're in junior high. Like everybody in Walsh, when they're in 7th, 8th grade, had like 100 matches a year. And it got you to the level where you were ready to be in high school and wrestle.
The ones who's going to win the state, coming first or seconds, usually going to have a good youth experience now in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, in California, the good wrestling states, Oklahoma. But you get down under 170 pounds, if you don't have 500 matches, you're not going to be there.
But there they are, atop the polls as the #1 wrestling squad in the country. And on this night, they're facing the #2 team in Ohio, the team right behind them, St. Edward of Lakewood. And, oh, by the way, the #5 team in the nation.
My boys are ready. They're ready. This is as best they could be. You're going to see the best they got. It's all out here. They won't let you down, I'll tell you that.
Walsh is in the white. It's the first match of the night at 103 pounds. Brent Thompson, the young man fighting for mom, wins. Then at 112 pounds, favorite Adam Plause goes down. Frank Favaro loses at 119, and St. Edward leads 8-4 in the overall team race. Freshman Joe Heskett pulls out a big win at 125 pounds, and the team score is now knotted at 8. But then Walsh Jesuit loses matches at 130. And 135 is a loss as well. And the #1 team now trails by 6 points.
Be tied up after your match. Be tied up after this match. You got to get 6, not 5, 6.
Then the seniors take the mats. First, it's Jim Johnson at 140 pounds, a pin and a win. Next, Clint Musser at 145. Another victory. Walsh is back in front. At 152, victory. At 160, another win. At 171, a very unexpected loss.
Whoa!
Now at 189, it was up to a freshman, Jeff Knupp.
This is a big match now.
Did that just screw things up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was a 12-point swing. We got to win this match.
And the Frosh would respawn. This one would go to double overtime. And he gets the win in double overtime, 6-4. And that means Walsh wins the team battle. The final score would be 31-24, Walsh Warriors.
He did what he had to do because he's from North Akron. He knows what it's like. He's been there before, and he's only in 9th grade. That's amazing.
Walsh Jesuit Wrestling. Ah, yes, looks like this story will go on for a mighty long time. But, you know, somehow I think they planned it that way. All right, buses are here. School's out. I guess we got to leave. But, you know, if the Warriors of Walsh Jesuit High School turn into the dynasty that we think they will, we'll probably be back here in a year or two. Up next, we're headed a hockey